as we talked earlier, positive reinforcement is giving the dog something we want, but we want the dog to think that it's creating its own behavior. So when she offers it, it's better than if we tell her to do it, okay? So some simple management tools that I have with her already. I have her on a leash. She's on a first saver, a large leg choke chain, and I have food with me, okay? She's starting to learn, or she learned her verbal marker of the word yes. And so if she hears the word yes, she's gonna expect a piece of food. So if she does something right and I'm gonna pay her for it, then I say the word yes as a predictor to the food when she does what I want her to do. So we'll take the sit, for example. Come here, Duchess. So if I put her into the sit, yes. When she gets into the sit, I would mark and reward. And she knows to stay there until I release her with the word okay, and then she can get up for a second piece of food. So every time I'm telling her to do something, there's something in it for her. We already know that as a nervous dog, she's gonna be worried about what's going on around her. So I have to make sure that this is always happening. Off, off. So if she's nervous and I want her to pay attention to me, then this is the default behavior versus, as we talked about earlier, getting her to sit by my side is difficult. Her motivation for finding safety is more important than the food. And when we get her into positions that make her feel a little uncomfortable, she wants to leave that position as quickly as possible. So the easiest one for her to perform when we think we need to manage her around other dogs or other people is going to be the sit position. So there's a volunteered sit. I can pay her, and if she stays, she's going to keep staying the more I feed her. But she doesn't have to stay if I don't tell her to do it. Just because I gave her a piece of food didn't mean that I told her to do it. Okay? All right, now if I'm say, hey, you're done sitting, that's different. I can say, okay, and then she can get up for a second piece of food. All right? So remember, yes means I'm right, and then I'm going to pay you. If I don't tell her what to do and she offers it, I can still say yes and I pay her. If I do tell her what to do, I say yes, I pay her, and now she has to stay there until I release her. If she breaks early from this position, the answer is no. I tell her no, and she gets back in the position through either a lure or some leash pressure. So no is a predictor to a punisher. So no means I'm going to remove something you want, or I'm going to add something you don't like, which would be the leash. So that's two different types of punishment, positive and negative, just like we watched on the video. Okay, come here. All right, so into the sit, I would say yes, give her a piece of food. Okay, and then she can get up, all right? Duchess, and call her back to get another one. So her name is her recall. So I toss a piece of food. Duchess, yes. Duchess, yes. Go get it. Duchess, yes. So her recall in this context is pretty simple, pretty easy for her to perform. She wants to be with me. If she was in an environment where she wanted to go do something else instead, the recall is obviously a little bit harder, but that's why we have the leash on the dog, just to make sure that we can hold her accountable to the recall that she knows, okay? Okay. With the platform, it was a little bit difficult. She was nervous of new things. Just the sound of it alone made her nervous. Getting on top of it when she made noises with her feet made her nervous as well. So what I did, come here, pup, is I sat in a chair and yes, in order for her to get close to me was what she wanted. She wanted to get as close as she could to make herself feel safe. She had only one option. In order to get to me, she had to get on the platform. So I use a little bit of reverse psychology. In order to get what you want, which is close to me, you have to get on the platform first. So I got her to understand how to get onto something that was new by making her overcome her insecurity to get what she wanted. She didn't want the food as much at that point in time. She wanted my comfort. Okay, so now all I have to do is food, yes. When she gets on, I mark and reward her. She automatically gets into the sit, which is fine for me for now. And she stays there until I release her with okay. Okay, but because I'm going to be practicing, I'm not going to give her this piece of food. I'm going to bring her right back to it. Say yes. And then give her a piece of food. She looks at me as part of the conditioning process. She has to look at me in order to be released. Okay, and I give her another one. Or I make her do it again. Come here. Yes, and then I give her a piece of food. To stay her on the platform, pretty simple. We've taught her what's called a duration marker. So good means keep doing what you're doing. I want her to stay there, continue performing this behavior, so I'll say the word good and give her a piece of food. That way, if I step away, I say the word good, and I give her another piece of food. So she's learning to stay through the word good by continuing a behavior. Good? So I don't have to tell her stay. I just say the word good to reinforce the continuation of behavior. So we call it a duration marker. Good? Correct. The sit and place command have a implied stay to it. We're not telling the dog to say stay for two reasons. One, it's implied, and two, if you stay there, I'll give you more food, so that makes the implied behavior. Two, that if I say okay, you can leave. So we have a beginning, middle, and end to a behavior versus if I say stay, normally this is a predictor to a punisher. If you leave, I'm going to punish you, and I know that you're going to be punished because I said the word stay. So we stay away from the word stay, and I just say the word good to positively reinforce the continuation of the behavior. No. So no means you're wrong, go back. So she doesn't quite know the word no yet. She's learning, at least stopped her. Now I'm going to show her what to do, but I'm going to negatively punish her by withholding the food. I could have grabbed the leash and pulled her back up, but she wants the food, so I might as well use the negative punishment. Then I can reinforce her again for the duration of the behavior. Okay? So sitting for us is sit and stay. No. Started to work. As soon as she left, she heard the word no. Now, because she's frozen, she doesn't know what's expected of her, I'll show her what to do. I lured her back into position. Now I'll pay the duration. Good? 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 Okay. So we have the other dog here, and obviously part of Duchess's rehoming is that she's neutral to other dogs. And so this is a clear demonstration that she's neutral to the other dog because she's not paying attention to the other dog, she's only paying attention to me. Now, the dog here is neutral to other dogs as well, and the dog is in training. If I had another dog that was, we'll say, aggressive or fearfully reacting at Duchess, I would expect Duchess to say, hey, don't talk to me that way, or whatever she's thinking, it doesn't really matter, but leave it. We want Duchess to understand what her boundaries are. Her boundaries are don't engage, don't react to the other dog, and pay attention to me instead. So she's obviously paying attention to me already, and when she left her attention on me and started to look at the other dog, she physically got up. This was a predictor that she was going to do something. And so I want her to think that that's not an appropriate behavior, but I could also reinforce her for paying attention to me. Okay? So leave it. See how she looked away from me towards the other dog? I told her leave it, and she looked back at me, and I paid her immediately for leaving it alone. Leave it. Leave it. Good. So there's, we'll say, some form of punishment every time she leaves. Good girl. Every time she looks at another dog. So I want her looking at me, not the other dog. Okay? All right, now we'll practice the recall a little bit so I can demonstrate how to use the e-collar. So I'm pressing it now. Duchess. And she comes back to me and gets a piece of food. So she responds better to the electric collar than she does the pressure from the leash. The pressure from the leash, she wants to fight. This is a natural reflex for her to resist that or oppose it. And so
you turned, at what point did you hit the button?
I pressed it when I saw her looking towards the other dog. I waited for about a half second to two, then I called her name, and then I called her to me, okay? Okay. So pressing it now, Duchess. Then bringing her back to me. So her name is...
Red light says you press the button.
Correct. So her name means come to me, and she's escaping what she feels by coming to me. So she has an existing behavior in the form of a recall, so that's how we're getting her to respond to it. Okay? Pressing it now, Duchess, and she turns to come towards me. Okay, I'll change locations here. Pressing the button now, and she automatically returns to me. Duchess. Good. When I see her committed to coming to me, then I let go of the button. And we talked about this earlier, continuous stimulation until I get the desired response. Pressing the button now, she looks to me, she comes to me to get a piece of food. Okay? Good. Okay, so I'm always watching her in these situations. I barely have to apply any leash pressure. The only reason I have the leash on her is just in case. This is my safety net, not my, you have to listen. Good girl. This is the reason she wants to listen, is the food. Pressing the button now. Duchess. Nice. Correct. I'm using escape learning. So essentially she's escaping what she feels by performing an existing behavior. And so she has an existing recall, we might as well use it. Now she doesn't have an existing down, so I can't use the e-collar to get her to the down position. Leave it. Good girl. See how she was staring at it? The longer she stares at the other dog, the more likely she is to react to it. Okay, so good. I want to pay her when she's looking at me. All right, now, back to the escape learning. If she doesn't know a behavior, I can't use the e-collar to teach it to her.
So it's for a known trained behavior.
Correct.
You're really doing.
Correct.
And just letting her know, pay attention, something is about, you're going to get a command.
Yeah, we can say it that way, yeah. You can say, hey, if you feel this, listen to what I'm going to tell you and perform that behavior. And then when you perform that behavior, I will take away this uncomfortable sensation. Just like you get in the car, you start driving down the road, you already know how to put your seatbelt on, but you forgot. Now you start driving down the road, you hear the seatbelt alarm. The seatbelt alarm tells you to put the seatbelt on, and that sound doesn't go away until you put the seatbelt on. So it's a known behavior, and you're just reinforcing it by taking away that annoying sound by putting the seatbelt on.